All right, guys, welcome back to Elk Week. If you were curious who won the Hoyt bow, you got to stay tuned to the end of this video. Don't skip around. They've got a lot of good stuff on this forest to fork video coming up. Kind of all the details of how to kill a bull, or how to process a bull in the field, how to process it at home and get it in your freezer and feed your family for the year. Stay tuned.
The dead bull right
Are
there.
you serious? Didn't go 20.
Now the fun begins.
We got a bull of a lifetime on the ground. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll just start either high in the neck or all the way there in the back and come straight up. What happens is you expose the offside back straps. And when you go to roll them over, you can get your meat dirty. So instead, we're gonna come off about a foot off of his backbone, and that's the line. So you can either start up the back of the leg or the front of the leg. I like the front of the leg, come up. We'll go up to this line here, come across, and if we weren't caping them, this is where we'd run that line all the way forward. And same deal, come off the back of the front shoulder to meet up here, and then come up here for the neck meat. And that'll give you access to front shoulder, rear quarter, rib roll, back strap, tenderloins, and then all this neck meat. So that's the process, and then you repeat the process when you flip them over and do the other side. This is a point, okay, where the front shoulder is going to come off, and I like to take the front shoulder as much neck meat into one chunk as possible. We'll look at where this bloodshot is. We want to make sure we don't get a bunch of bloodshot on that meat where it can contaminate the rest of the meat. If you hit it differently, I'd probably start back here and take as much burger as well. Meat bag out. So we designed these are all anatomically correct to a size of a quarter. And they unzip so they fold open, so when we get this meat loose, Eric will just be able to drop it right in here. We'll run the zipper around it, it'll be good to go. So we'll start low right here. Take all this, cut up like so. And this is where we'll look at this bloodshot. As I get into it, I'll probably trim this out. I'm just gonna come all the way up to the very top right there. So as you can see right here, we got bloodshot, so I'm just gonna cut right there. Now we got good clean meat all the way up. We get this off, we can cut this notch out. But you can see I'm taking the burger along with it as I'm coming up. And you just lay your knife flat with those bones. It's just easy to go all the way up. So you can see this right here, this high tendon fascia, this is where that quarter stops. This is where your back strap stops. And this is where the neck meat's gonna start. So we'll come in here, cut this neck meat down. The more of the meat that you can keep together, the more you're going to yield out of it. So start cutting off tiny little strips, bring in as much big chunks as possible. You get less dry loss. So you just take and run that right there, half hitch it, it's ready to hang.
Since we're not dealing with the cape anymore, we're giving ourselves 8 to 12 inches there, so when we roll it, the back strap doesn't get exposed.
You can already see all the flies, blow flies that are on us right here. This is why good meat bags are really important. They'll start blowing it instantly here, so we're gonna work as fast as we can, get this other quarter off.
So we're just working on the back side of this leg, guys. And what we're trying to do is get it freed up so then we can work from the back and pop that ball joint, pop it up, and then work into that shelf, and then just keep working.
And two, with the gutless method, you can still leave proof of sex. So we'll usually do that on the second rear quarter, but you'll skin that down and you can leave his cod piece. Check your local regulations, your state regulations, wherever you're going as to what's required. There's the cod piece. See, this is attached to the meat. This is your pelvis right here. So this is actually the cut on the other side. Pelvis goes in here. That pelvis curves up, and then it's got a shelf on the back side. So you'll cut up, you'll feel the tip of that, and then you'll cut down on this back side. You've got the ball joint free. So I'll rotate around, kind of fold this open, and then you'll be able to see that pelvis. So you'll see right here, follow this shelf up, and right up there's a point. Kind of working down, then you just want to cut straight back down, just like that. And clean that pelvis all the way up.
What you'll see a shelf here, shelf there. I'm just going to work that all the way out.
Take your time, make sure you're cutting away from yourself, you're being safe. What we do it for is the groceries. You want to take care of the meat, you want to keep it free of hair, dirt, anything like that.
And that's dinner. So yeah, now you can really see that shelf against this shelf, and it's worked nice against that shelf, and I literally just kind of work that V the whole way back.
Rib roll, it's one of my favorites.
There's tenderloin.
So on the loose meat bag, you just run that cord lock back down. And this thing will carry a pile of meat. It's as heavy as you want to pack. Halfway through, it's a good spot. Carry a field sharpener, clean the blade. So I'll grab some wipes real quick, get that clean. It's easier to keep a sharp knife sharp than to try to get a dull knife back to sharp in the field. There it goes. Nice. If you notice how we rolled them, we rolled them from the bottom over the top instead of over the back. Keeps all the dirt, all that stuff, anywhere that hide would expose backstrap or anything like that, you keep it all clean. So if you can, the best way to do it is the bottom up, and then you rotate and keep all this high and dry out of the dirt. So we're gonna finish the cape side of it, and then we'll do the rest of the quarters and be done. We had it 39 degrees. We're gonna have 3 elk in here. So the critical part though is get it from the field, get it to a cooler, get it cooled down, get the crust on it. Principle, this was been in the cooler. It's just beautiful meat. It's gonna feed the family for the year. We're gonna do the same with nose bowl right now. Get it hung up, get that crust on the outside, get it cooled down, and ready to process it.
Well, we can start with the tri-tip. It'll be the first thing to start with. And there's seams on all of them. I mean, you can see them. Even your top round has a seam here. But your tri-tip's gonna be right in here. You're gonna hit that seam. Just ride that seam up, and it attaches right into your top sirloin. So once you get to that seam, then you can take and you can flip it over, and that seam keeps coming around right here, and it rides right up in here. A lot of people miss this little triangle. So it comes right into there. And you just keep peeling that around, and then you're going to hit the other seam right here where it starts coming back on itself. And that there is your tri-tip. So then the next thing is going to be your top sirloin, which is this piece right here. And you're going to want to come in on this knuckle, come down until you feel it, and then just work your way right around the end of it, and then just cut straight down. And that's your top sirloin chunk right there. So the easiest way to take your knuckle off is stand this thing up, and you're going to come in right at the back of that knuckle. Go straight down to the bone, and then just ride that bone all the way down. And then here you have your knuckle, or also known as sirloin tip. So now we're going to peel that top round off. So you're just going to come in right here and get on the bone. You go straight down until you hit that seam. You're just going to follow that seam out. You've got 2 different seams here. You got one in your shank, and then one on your top round. And there's the top.
That's the top round.
That's the top round right there. And then the rest of this is all going to come off in one piece. We're just going to pretty much peel the bone out of it. So once you get it to there, come underneath, just ride that knuckle out, and you can just come down. And there's actually a bone right here too. A lot of guys don't even know that bone's there, and they end up sticking it in their trim, and they try and grind it. Just eat your knives up in your grinder and your plates. This is going to be your shank piece here, your bottom round here, and then you actually have your eye round right here on the edge. So what I like to do is I take that eye out first. There's your eye.
Not to be confused with ribeye.
Exactly. Still be just as tender.
Yeah.
Just pull your shank out right here. So this is all just shank grind pieces. There's some tendons in here I'll show you want to take out before you grind. But then you also, right here, you have a gland. You definitely want to get rid of that gland. And then you have, right here's another piece of that hard tendon that'll get stuck in your grinder. And a lot of those at-home grinders just can't handle that pressure. You'll end up twisting the tip of the auger off and actually breaking it. And this all piece here, just take all this off. It's just gonna be more grind. And then here you have your bottom flat, or bottom round. And then right down in here, these tendons on the ends, right here, they're so hard that they literally, if you have anything like an LEM, Cabela's grinder, any of that, it'll bind that blade up really bad. And then you're just gonna fight it the whole time. And you just wanna pick your bone. And this is that bone that I was telling you about. It gets in the grinder. It's just a little tiny bone, almost like a chicken bone. And this is a really good knuckle here. I mean, even if you're in the field and you just wanted to pack out that top quarter and then just bone the shank out, you could just pop this joint and you only have this section of bone.
Oh yeah.
See, then you could get rid of all that once you took the shank meat off of it.
Interesting.
And you could work it to where it almost, you could leave that shank meat attached.
Yeah.
And then just fold it up in.
Fold it up in.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
All right, now just front shoulder.
Yep, so we'll start here with the mock tender, which is going to be, you got your blade bone runs down through. You got half and half. Your mock tinder is going to be on one side, and then your flat iron is actually going to be on the other side. Just come get right on that bone, ride it all the way out to the tip. You peel it right out of that bone in there. So here you have your mock tinder right here. This is just a big old gland right here. You really don't want that. Just cut it out. Just take that right off like that. So then we're going to shift over and we're going to go to the flat iron side of it. Just come down this side of the bone all the way to the end. You can peel your way around. There's going to be a little lip right here where you're going to come up a little bit. You can just get to that edge where you can come down, and then just leave it just like that. And then you can flip it around. You're going to come in right behind this knuckle right here, come straight down to the bone, and just ride that bone all the way up till you meet your other line here. So now we're all met, and then when this folds over, you got your blade bone here, so just come right down the edge of your blade bone. And there's actually going to be 2 cuts of meat in this one. You got your flat iron right here, which you would peel it right here to split it apart, and then this is actually called the shoulder clod. So I mean, there's good steaks here, and there's good roast opportunity in the clod. But we'll split all that apart in a little bit. So once you get to that point, just flip it over, come straight down and get the back side of this blade. And don't worry, you're going to get a little bit of that blade. You can trim it out once you get it done. That piece there is just all trim. There's nothing else to it. And there's a joint right here where your blade sits on. Just pop that. Now that's out of your way. The rest of this is all grind meat that's on here. So you just ride right down the shank. Flip it over, come down the back side of the shank. And there you have all your shank meat for grind. And here's another one of those tendons that you want to get out if you're running one of those home grinders again. Just clean up your bones and good to go. So here we have your primal cuts off the shoulder. So you have your mock tinder again, your flat iron, and your shoulder clod. So first step we're going to do is we're going to actually separate that flat iron. Be a little more visual here. Okay. So now you got your three major parts of the front shoulder. These 2 are good for steaks. This one you can use steaks. I recommend doing a roast, stew meat, chili meat, something like that. Be better for that. So your flat irons, you're just going to flip them over, take this back skin off. And you flip it back over like that. And so there's a chunk of gristle that goes all the way through the center. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You could actually just take this and take this end off right here. It's got the most gristle in it. Or you can fillet it out, which is the best way to do it. So you're just going to come in until you hit that gristle. You're going to fillet that down and flip it over. Come back down to that gristle again. And you can see how thick that gristle is. So we'll set that to the side because we're going to actually cut that out of there and not put it in the grind. And you got what you call your flat irons right there. You step over to the mock tinder. Just peel all this silver skin off. And there you have your mock tinder. Then stepping over to the shoulder clod, come in and just peel this little seam down right here. And just straight cut that off. That's all grind. And you got some silver skin here that you can see. You come in underneath it, come around, and then just straight cut the bottom side off. And flip it over. Some guys like to leave this outer skin. I preferably don't. It's a little tougher of meat when you're trying to eat it. So I will peel all this off. Now you have a nice chunk of meat for a roast. Whatever you want to do with it. I mean, you can get butcher string, you could tie it up even, or you can just leave it just like this. You can steak it. Multiple different things you can do with it.
So that's basically the front shoulder steaks, rest grind.
Yep, pretty much everything in your front shoulder that you want. So here we have you have your eye round, and you got your bottom round, you got your top round, you got your knuckle or sirloin tip, you got your top sirloin, and then you got your tri-tip. And then we'll start breaking these down piece by piece. These tri-tips, I leave them whole and cook them like that on the Traeger. Oh my gosh. So we'll start with the knuckle. And a lot of times you can get underneath right here. Depends on how wet or dry they are. And you can just peel this. Peel that out to the front. That's just garbage. You don't want to put that in your grind. So when you flip these over, you can have a seam right here. You can just follow that around. And it comes all the way right here, and you just take this piece off. This piece is just grind as well. So same thing, I peel all the outside skin off of it. And then I'll show you also there's a chunk of gristle in the center of this. You don't have to take it out, but you can if you don't want to chew on it. Okay, so once you get that down, you can see this chunk of gristle running right here. So you're going to come in and get right underneath it. And you're just going to keep working it all the way through. And you're going to separate that piece and this piece. And you can come in here and you can peel that gristle right out. Alright, so once you get all that silver skin and that gristle out of there, then you have this nice piece here for steaks. Then you're just going to clean this a little bit more silver skin up around this piece. And now you've got your knuckle, 2 great pieces for steaks. Okay, so now we're going to go to the top round. And so you have a cap that goes all the way around this on the top. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to peel that cap off. So right here you can see that seam. When you get to the side right here, you'll hit another seam right here. And so you're just going to straight cut that off. And just bring it all around. And this is all grind. So then you're just going to clean all your silver skin off. And then you're going to flip it over. And you got some major veins in here. So you just come in right here and just peel right underneath them. And this is your top round. And there's a seam right here. You can just go ahead and split this corner off. So you can steak this corner. You can use it as a little roast, carne asada, anything that you want to do with it. It'll be tender enough. Okay, so here we have the bottom round. And there's a couple veins right here. Just throw those away. So we'll flip it over, take all this outer shell off. This is all grind, still good to grind. Then I'll flip it over, and you can see there's a chunk of gristle right here. It runs all the way through, so I always just peel that right out. And that'll go in your grind. Peel the rest of this silver skin off, and there you have your bottom round. So here we got the eye round. This one's real simple. We're just gonna peel the outer layer off. You got your outside crust and then the silver skin, and then it'll be ready for steaks. Okay, so here we have the tri-tip. And pretty much the same thing. We're just going to clean all this silver skin off, take this little crust off the back, and then it'll be good to go. Alright, so now we got the top sirloin. So you're going to see here, you got lots of little pockets in here of tendon, sinew, silver skin, all that. So we'll seam a little bit of it apart, and then we're going to leave most of it together. And you can, on the top sirloin, you could take and you could seam out all this gristle, but by the time you get done with that, you're going to have little tiny steaks, and it's not going to do you much good. So once you get all your silver skin off and your outer shell, then you have another piece right there for steaks, and it actually makes really good carne asada. Okay, so for packaging and how I do it, I know Cody does it the same way. So depending on how thick you're going to cut your steaks, so I cut mine at like 1/4 inch. I cut mine real thin. So then I'll count how many steaks I think my family's going to need for that portion for dinner. And then I cut that chunk, and so I leave the chunk whole like that as I freeze it, because that way, say your vacuum seal bag gets broke, something like that happens, you can just trim that freezer burn off the outside and then cut your steaks, and you've got perfectly good meat again. We're just going to take and we're going to cut that. I'm going to leave that chunk whole. I'm going to split that. So then we'll vacuum seal those whole, or paper wrap, whichever way you like it. And then all you got to do is pull them out, cut them into steaks, and you're ready to rock and roll. So I'm Kyle Barklow. I own Barklow's Guide Service, and I also was a butcher farm to table for 8.5 years. I've actually got a meat shop at my house with a cooler. So I mean, if you need any meat cutting opportunities and stuff around Douglas County area, just get a hold of me. And if you ever want to go on a fishing adventure or anything like that, you can just get a hold of me. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Barklow's Guide Service, and phone number is 541-733-9606.
We showed you how exactly to cut up all the meat, go from your steaks to grind. I'm very simple in mine. See this grind. This was stuff that I didn't have time to do in season, that I just put in a vacuum seal bag, vacuum sealed it, and then now I'm going to take it back out. I'm going to grind it in a hamburger, and then I'm going to re-vacuum seal it and then put it away for the winter time or for next summer or for however long. This stuff lasts for a long time. I will show you how to quickly do that. Today we're going to use the meat dual grinder. Back in the day, I went with I've had 3 different grinders. This is the best thing that I've had ever. It's a dual grinder. So usually you have to take it, grind it once through, get it in a bin, pull it back out of the bin, take this plunger, every single piece, plunge all the browned hamburger already to get a dual grind on it. This thing, one shot, done. It's fast, easy, simple. It's the only way to go. Take the sharp knife, cut it up, open the packages, put it all on the tray of your grinder. You're gonna wanna be, so when I cut this and I put it all in here, it's in chunks. So it's still not frozen, but it's pretty cold right now. Flip the grinder on, make sure you're in forward, obviously, and just start putting them down the throat of the grinder. And when it's in bigger chunks like this, it'll just come out on its own. Look how finely ground that is. Dual grinded, dual ground, I think. Maybe ground is the way you should say that. So yeah, super, super simple. The grinder does all the work. Don't overfeed anything like these grinders I've seen before, like you can shove a bunch down the throat. This one, it just eats it up. Just slowly feed it and it'll just pull tiny, tiny little, just like you get in the store. Like I said, it's a little bit, it's got a little bit of frozen on it. It's not gonna hurt it any. Next portion, you've already ground all your meat. We've got some ground elk burger right in here. Meat, they have actually a couple different size bags that they sell. I really recommend these bags because they're thicker. I have the smaller ones that I got on Amazon and they did not do as good of a job as far as they're flimsier. These are super sturdy. Anyway, they've got two sizes. Bigger size for bigger families, smaller size for smaller families. I'll show you how I do it. So I'm just gonna use the bigger size. Take a couple handfuls of meat. You can weigh it, you can do however you want to do your own meat, but we do a lot of hamburger. We eat a lot of tacos, we eat a lot of stuff like that that involves hamburger. Get about the size. I also have a scoop. I don't have it with me right now, but it's a scoop that actually you can kind of measure the scoop so you can get the same amount in the bag every single time. But then we go from here, next step, vacuum seal. Biggest thing, guys, put it in the vacuum chamber, put your bag on the rim of it, make sure there's no meat that's right in the way of the seal, close it. One-stop shop. What's gonna do here, it's gonna build pressure actually in that chamber, and as that pressure lets off, it's gonna suck all that air right out of that bag. You can set this for a bunch of different settings. I've got it set right now for 30. You can set it for lower, higher. I just like to do it pretty much max to where it really, really gets all the air out so it lasts a lot longer. Now it's sealing it. I'm gonna take the air out. And it kicks up when it's done. Perfectly vacuum sealed hamburger. So here's another thing that I do, kind of a little bit of a trick. Take your, instead of putting it in the freezer like this, take it after it's vacuum sealed and flatten this whole thing out. Using your knuckles, kind of kneading it and make it super, super flat. It does a couple things. So super flat, both sides. And what that'll do is stack in your freezer so much better. And on top of that, when you take it out to actually make a meal, it's got so much more surface area that it'll thaw out super, super fast as well. So best way that I've found to do it, yeah, super simple, guys. Grinder and vacuum sealer. And if you know just anything about what this video showed, if you kind of learn from this video of cutting steaks and doing just a little bit of homework on silver skin and stuff, I mean, you can, there's no reason everybody can't produce their own meat. This, super simple, get your friends together, start a meat cutting party is what we do. And everybody gets together. It's good fellowship with people. And then you can share exactly what you've harvested and share all those stories as well. So very simple, guys. Vacuum sealer, grinder, a little bit of knowledge how to cut steaks, you can do anything. So that pretty much concludes our field to freezer meat care. Very, very simple, guys. I bet you guys are wondering who won the Hoyt bow from last night. Keep on watching this video and we're gonna have an uncut next to tell who won it. If you guys want to win a dual-headed grinder and a vacuum sealer from meat, all you got to do is click the link below and you'll be signed up tomorrow. We're going to give that away in tomorrow's uncut. So do not miss that video. Hopefully it's you. Super, super awesome items. That's everything meat care. I hope you guys learned something and hope you guys can use that this next year.
Guys, it is elk week, nonstop in the office this week. It's been bulls screaming. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that video last night of 20 kills, 20 minutes. It was kind of some of the just hand-picked highlights over the years. It's pretty awesome to see, kind of rewind it a little bit and see all those again. Hopefully you guys enjoyed tonight's video on the Forest to Fork series. It was kind of fun to take it from the field to getting it processed to the whole deal in the freezer, done deal. Pretty excited. But first off, you guys are probably all tuning in because you want to know who won the Hoyt bow. Well, drum roll please. I got a winner. Her name, we've got a lady, Natalie Brunner. So Natalie, congrats, super excited. We'll get you guys in contact with Hoyt and get you guys a free bow. So appreciate you guys for everyone that entered. And tonight, if you guys have not yet, stop, pause this video, click the link in the description or the card up here and enter your name in to win a made by meat, and it's gonna be a 2-part grinder. So you're gonna have a coarse and a fine grind all in one. You don't have to regrind your meat. plus their vacuum packer. And that's courtesy of Meat Company, so a huge shout out to them for kicking down some stuff for you guys. And next up, we got the pack dump with Exo Mountain Gear. So Steve came over in studio and we went through his backcountry gear. And it's a really good baseline to figure out what do you need and what do you not need. And the biggest thing, takeaway that I got out of making that video with him is don't pack your fears. So you can go a lot lighter and a lot simpler, hunt a little bit harder, carry less weight at the end of the day. So tomorrow, tune in for that. We'll also be giving away an Exo K4 pack at the end of that video. We're just giving away. It's just that time of year. We're getting fired up for elk season. Next up too, guys, the Brotherhood. This film's gonna be dropping on Friday. If you were in the Portland area, we actually showed this live to a huge audience during the Portland Sportsman Show. And now we're making it nationwide on the YouTube. So pretty excited to see that movie. If you guys just kind of get a little bit of really what we're all about and the Brotherhood, the bond that we build on the mountain, and how it carries into our business and everything else in life. And really excited to share that film with you on Friday. And last but not least, on Saturday, tune in. This is going to be viewer submitted videos. So we picked 3 videos out of the submissions from this last year when we launched it, the contest. And really excited. It's some really cool films. So if you're interested, if you're getting into filmmaking, you have an interest in YouTube, this is a way to kind of get your foot in the door. You can submit your video, and we've got a link on the website. You can check out all the details of what that needs to look like. But the deadline is May 1st in 2024. So maybe you next year could be on Elk Week. So with that, I'm going to jump off here. I'm going to keep cranking on the calls. Hopefully you guys are enjoying Elk Week. We'll see you guys tomorrow.